The power went out at exactly 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon at Meridian Tower, the city's most prestigious office building. Rebecca Sterling, CEO of Sterling Financial Group, was in the middle of a crucial board meeting on the 32nd floor when the lights flickered once, twice, and then plunged them into complete darkness. 20 floors below, in the building's daycare center, Thomas Rodriguez was just finishing his custodial rounds. He'd been working at Meridian Tower for 6 years, taking the evening shift so he could care for his 8-year-old son Danny during the day. Danny often came to the office after school, doing homework in the break room while Thomas completed his duties. When the blackout hit, Thomas's first thought wasn't about the inconvenience or the backup generators, it was about the children. The daycare center housed 15 children ranging from ages 3 to 10, sons and daughters of the building's executives and office workers. In the sudden darkness, he heard the first frightened whimper, then another, and within moments, a chorus of scared voices filled the air. "Mr. Tommy!" called out little Emma, one of the regulars who always greeted him with a bright smile. "Mr. Tommy, where are you?" "I'm right here, sweetheart," Thomas called back, his voice calm and reassuring despite the chaos around him. He pulled out his phone's flashlight, casting a small circle of light in the darkness. "Everyone stay exactly where you are for just a moment." Thomas had grown up the eldest of 5 children in a family that faced its share of challenges. His mother had taught him that in times of crisis, someone needed to stay calm, to be the steady voice that others could follow. He'd carried that lesson through his years raising Danny alone after his wife passed away 3 years earlier. "Okay, kids," Thomas said, moving carefully through the room, his flashlight guiding the way. "I need everyone to hold hands and make a line behind me. We're going to play a special game called Follow the Light." 7-year-old Marcus, the son of a marketing executive, reached out nervously. "Mr. Tommy, are we in danger?" "No, buddy," Thomas replied gently, ruffling the boy's hair. "The lights just decided to take a little nap, but we're going to be smart and safe, just like always." Meanwhile, 32 floors above, Rebecca Sterling was experiencing her own crisis. The emergency lighting had failed, and the stairwell was pitch black. Her fellow board members were beginning to panic, and she could hear similar distress echoing from other floors as office workers tried to navigate the darkened building. "Stay calm, everyone," Rebecca called out, though she felt anything but calm herself. She was a woman accustomed to control, to having solutions at her fingertips. This powerless situation was testing every leadership skill she'd developed over her 20-year career. Down in the daycare center, Thomas had organized the children into a perfect line. His son Danny, mature for his 8 years, had naturally positioned himself as Thomas's helper. "Dad," Danny whispered, "should we go to the emergency exit?" "That's exactly right, mijo," Thomas whispered back, proud of his son's quick thinking. "But we're going to take our time and keep everyone together." Thomas began leading the children through the darkened hallway, his flashlight creating a pathway of safety. "Okay, everyone, we're going to sing a song while we walk. It'll help us stay together and stay brave. Who knows this little light of mine?" Several small voices piped up, and soon the group was moving through the darkness, their young voices creating a beacon of hope in the frightened building. "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." Rebecca, trying to navigate the stairwell with her board members, heard something that made her pause. Voices, children's voices, singing, and underneath it, a man's voice, steady and encouraging. "This way, everyone. Hold tight to the handrail. Sophie, you're doing great. Marcus, help your little friend there." The voices were coming from below, and Rebecca realized that someone was successfully evacuating children from the building, someone who knew exactly what to do. "Follow those voices," Rebecca called to her group. "Someone down there knows the way out." As they descended floor by floor, Rebecca found herself drawn to the calm leadership she heard below. The man, she could tell it was a man now, never raised his voice, never showed panic. He encouraged each child by name, making sure no one was left behind. Katie, you're being so brave. Just a few more steps. Danny, can you help me count? 1, 2, 3. When Rebecca's group finally caught up with Thomas and the children around the 15th floor, she saw something remarkable. In the small circle of flashlight, a man in a custodial uniform was kneeling beside a frightened little girl, speaking to her in gentle tones, while 15 other children waited patiently in line. I know it's scary, Emma, Thomas was saying, but look around. You've got all your friends here, and we're all taking care of each other. That's what makes us brave. Not that we're not scared, but that we help each other even when we are scared. Rebecca watched in amazement as this man, someone she'd probably passed in the hallways dozens of times without really seeing, demonstrated the kind of leadership she'd studied in business school but rarely witnessed in practice. Excuse? Me? Rebecca called softly, not wanting to startle the children. Could my group follow you? You seem to know the safest way down. Thomas looked up, his flashlight briefly illuminating Rebecca's face. He recognized her immediately, the CEO, the woman whose picture hung in the building's lobby. But in this moment, she was simply another person who needed help. Of course, Thomas replied without hesitation. Children, we're going to have some grown-ups join our parade. Let's make room for everyone. And so, Rebecca Sterling, CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, found herself following a custodian and 15 children down 32 flights of stairs, listening to rounds of "Row, row, row your boat" and "You Are My Sunshine" in the darkness. With each floor, Rebecca found herself more impressed by Thomas's natural leadership. He knew every child's name, their fears, their strengths. When little Marcus started crying, Thomas gave him the important job of being the backup light holder. When Emma got tired, he arranged for the older kids to take turns encouraging her. "Mr. Tommy?" asked Sophie, a 5-year-old with pigtails. "Why aren't you scared?" Thomas paused on the landing, gathering the group around him. "Well, Sophie, I am a little scared. But you know what I learned. When we take care of each other, we're not alone with our scared feelings. And when we're not alone, we can handle just about anything." Rebecca felt something shift in her chest at those words. When was the last time someone in her corporate world had spoken about fear so honestly, so wisely? Finally, after what felt like hours but was actually only 45 minutes, they reached the ground floor and emerged into the bright afternoon sunlight. Parents were waiting anxiously outside, and there were tears and hugs as families were reunited. Rebecca watched as Thomas made sure every child was safely returned to their parents before even thinking about himself. His son Danny stood beside him, clearly proud of his father's heroism. "Thomas," Rebecca said, approaching him as the crowd began to disperse. "I don't think we've formally met. I'm Rebecca Sterling." Thomas shifted uncomfortably, suddenly aware of the difference in their stations. "Ms. Sterling, I hope the children weren't any trouble to your group." "Trouble?" Rebecca shook her head, smiling. "Thomas, what you did in there, that was extraordinary leadership. You kept those children calm and safe, and frankly, you showed the rest of us how to handle a crisis with grace." Thomas looked surprised. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Rebecca said firmly. "Not anyone. What I witnessed was someone who truly understands what it means to lead, not from a position of authority, but from a place of genuine care for others." 2 weeks later, Thomas received a call asking him to visit Rebecca's office. When he arrived, still in his custodial uniform, he found Rebecca waiting with a warm smile. "Thomas, I have a proposition for you. I'd like to offer you a position as Director of Emergency Preparedness and Safety. After what happened during the Blackout, I realized we need someone who understands real leadership, someone who can stay calm under pressure and put people's well-being first." Thomas stared at her in disbelief. "Ms. Sterling, I don't have the education, the credentials. You have something better, Rebecca interrupted. You have wisdom, compassion, and natural leadership abilities that can't be taught in any business school. What do you say? Thomas thought about his son, Danny, about the opportunity to provide a better future while still being the kind of man Danny could be proud of. I say yes, Thomas replied, his voice steady with the same calm confidence that had guided children through darkness. And thank you for seeing something in me that I didn't even see in myself. Sometimes the greatest leaders aren't found in corner offices or boardrooms. Sometimes they're the quiet heroes who show up every day, who know that true leadership isn't about commanding others, but about lighting the way when the world goes dark. And sometimes it takes a moment of crisis to reveal that the person with the brightest light has been among us all along.